This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast session number 103, Karl Smith on Fast Hypnosis.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Hey there, welcome back. It's Jason Linett here with an outstanding hypnosis conversation, and definitely an inspiring one, and one that went in some different directions than what we typically do. That so often this program begins with the superhero origin story, though Karl Smith is a guy from the UK who is best well known for various strategies that are all about rapidly creating some really powerful changes with an hypnosis client rather quickly as well. So you're going to hear us interact with the themes of what is it that has to happen inside of the process to get the client to begin to rapidly change. What is it that we can do to satisfy the conscious mind as well as the subconscious mind to get the change in motion? And in many ways, to listen to Karl's incredible story of what he went through, of what things he has personally overcome, to take that and model that style of change for his individual clients as well. So with that, let's just jump right in. It's Fast Hypnosis, so let's quickly jump into the content here. This is session number 103, Karl Smith on Fast Hypnosis. So, Karl, the way that usually we kick this off is with the origin story as to how you got into this. But I want to start this somewhere a little bit differently with you. Okay. What is it that is the need? What is it that is the natural intention? You notice there's a lot of preambles to this question. What is it about helping people change quickly or fast, to use your terminology, that is much more empowering than the slow, methodical change process?
Okay, cool. I like fast change. I like quick change because I've been through the slow, methodical changes and listened to some stories about people that have been put through torturous methods. And I like doing it fast because what it does do is it shows the client there and then that something spectacular has happened. I like to allow my clients to feel that they've had an experience, that something has happened in my session, rather than them popping their eyes open or looking at me to ask me if something happened. So, yeah, that's the reason I like fast techniques. I like them to have that empowerment straight away.
Yeah, I'd share that early on. One of the frustrations I had when I first got into hypnosis was that conversation after the hypnosis session, which I now have strategies to, inoculate this before it even occurs. But the moment where the person's clearly, let's say it, confused in some way, and they're going, well, what should I do now? What should I expect? How do I know this has worked? Yeah. And there's something about that more rapid style of a change process, whether it's bringing in the kinesthetic, whether it's bringing in the experience of it, that gives the person the instant validation. Okay, yes, something is different here.
Yeah, I love it. Most of my students know I call it the Gandalf moment, that moment where they think you're some type of wizard, where they can look at you and they know they're nodding. They're already starting to nod, or they're starting to look at you and go, I can't find it. Where has it gone? What's just happened? And I love that. Love watching people. It really does inspire me looking at people, and that you get that instant change, that spontaneous change as well. Don't get me wrong, and most of your listeners will know it doesn't always happen with everybody.
Right.
But I do love that approach. My approach is go in, stop the naughty noise, and come out as quick as I can, and without too much torturous stuff going on as well, digging up the past and all that.
Yeah. I mean, what would be your thoughts on this statement that it's that phenomenon of single trial learning? It takes only a few moments to take on the issue. It may be compounded over time, but it's kind of the same presupposition we would fold into a fast phobia cure, that it only take a few moments to learn this issue. And my phrasing of it would be that it only can take a few moments to learn something different instead.
Absolutely. If it takes a few seconds to go in, it can take a few seconds to come out. The compounding issue is something that can be changed over time as well. But that whatever happened for that to wire itself up to go in and to stay a phobia, a fear, an anxiety, whatever it may be, it only took a few seconds really to go in, and so it can take a few seconds to come back out at the same time. And given resources at the end of the session, and given resources to allow them to manage it straight afterwards is key to it as well. So, it doesn't manifest itself back.
And I'm curious just to hear your response on this. Are there certain categories where the conversation we've been having so far perhaps doesn't fit into it? Are there certain categories of change, as it were, where you found that working towards the rapid change may not be the right strategy? Or does it kind of fit into everything?
Yeah, well, I mean, schizophrenia I've kept away from. That's a personal thing. A lot of people say to me, oh, well, you should be doing this. It's a personal thing for me. Schizophrenia, I think that, things like that, people that have got serious psychosis issues, I tend to leave those. Bipolar, I've had great results. With fast ideas, and some not, it's just hit and miss. But, generally depression, I've been able to turn around in 1 or 2 sessions as well. So it's dependent really. But I mean, going back to the initial question is I don't tend to work with schizophrenia and those sorts of things. And, they're an elongated process, aren't they? So I just tend to leave them. Yeah.
So then getting into that sort of mindset of that process, are there things that you're doing even before the session officially begins? And of course, as the practitioner, we know the process begins the moment they're aware of us. But is there certain things you're doing to begin to stack the deck in the favor of the change before the formal process actually begins?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as you know, is that the process starts for the client as soon as they pick up the yellow pages, the internet or whatever it is that they're looking for support. Something internally has told them to come look for us, and that process starts there. But when they do make that contact with me, when we agree that we're going to work together, because it is an agreement process. Some people I do turn away because I feel that they're not right for me, or that that there's probably other options. I pass them on to other people. However, if we do agree to work with each other, I do start the process there and then, and start with, just start that process kicking off, hypnotic stories, hypnotic stuff over the phone. Really, that's where I start. So yes. So by the time they come to me, they've already started that process, which enables me to then just sign and seal it really at the end of it.
Yeah. So let's rewind the story back. What was your experience? What was your story getting into hypnosis?
If the viewers haven't heard it before, I mean, I did 12 years in the British Army. I served all over the world. I did plenty of things. I've been to many sandy places, and I've been to places within the UK that the UK government sent us to: Northern Ireland, Kosovo's, Bosnia's, the conflict that was in Cyprus that was still ongoing. People wouldn't know about that. But there's little things like that I've been to. I spent 12 years going around the world doing that, and then I became a counter-terrorism officer I left the army. I then joined the police within the UK. And it's like I have to explain is that in the UK, in America, Canada, and many other countries, you have your police officers are armed immediately. In the UK, I think, and I may get the statistics slightly wrong here, so don't batter me, those people listening, is that out of 130,000, let's say, UK police officers, only around 25,000 of those carry firearms. Out of that, it's only roughly around 5,000 of those officers that are trained in firearms actually go to SWAT standard, to what we, to dynamic entry level officers, and that's where I was. So I left the army, I joined the police, became a SWAT officer, for want of a better word, and then went through day-to-day life. But on August the 4th, 2006, I was sat at home and I was run over by a drink driver. And when I say sat at home, I was literally sat in my house when a drink driver decided to appear in through the front of the house. And literally I went out to assist. Initially thought I was assisting somebody that had lost control of a car, and grabbed hold of the car, realised it was a young 17-year-old lad who had been drinking all day at a funeral. He'd been out drinking. He'd been looking for cannabis. He'd been looking for cocaine. He told us openly in the statements what he'd been up to. And I wrapped my hand around the seatbelt for some strange reason. Wrapped my hand around the seatbelt, and as the car fell down, I got trapped underneath it, was dragged approximately 80 yards backwards. And then when he realised he couldn't get out, he hit me again and had the common decency to take me all the way back home again and left me out the front, which left me with severe leg injuries, back injuries, shoulder injuries, arm injuries, minor fracture to the skull, C2, C3, slightly damaged as well. So when people see me running around like a headless chicken, it's probably because I've got more internal damage. But no, that happened. My body started to fix, and after 18 months, I started to come off the tramadol and the pregabalin, painkillers and all that, high-end painkillers. And what happened then is this horrid little creature called post-traumatic stress came out. And like I've mentioned to many people before, it was like this horrid creature really starting to come out. It was horrid. And, lack of sleep, anger, frustration. There was numbness, devoid of any human contact really. And, with my partner at the time, there was nothing. I had nothing to give. I didn't think, at the time, I didn't realize myself, it was actually happening to myself. It was others that were watching. And as I slowly came off the tramadol and pregabalin, more and more as my body fixed, it was then quite apparent that the post-traumatic stress was becoming a demon itself. And what happened was it just became more and more volatile until eventually I started sneaking tramadol and pregabalin into Jack Daniels first thing in the morning to try and numb that internal dialogue, that naughty noise, that monkey noise, that thing that was going on, horrid things. And so anyway, moving on slightly, is about 6 months after I'd gone back to work, so we're talking about 18 months, 2 years down the line, a colleague of mine said, "Karl, you're not right." I said, "Yeah, I never have been." So as most people know here at HT Live, I've never been right anyway. But the thing is that he just said, "You're not right. You're not you. What's wrong? You were happy-go-lucky. Now you are very straight-laced, very aggressive, very quickly to turn on people." And I said, "I just don't know." And he said, "How would you like to know some more about hypnosis?" And I went, go away. It was like, get out of it. The last time I saw anyone under hypnosis, they were trying to get rid of a square egg and, thought they were trying to do this, that, and the other, and I thought hypnosis was only funny. And then he educated me, which is what I love doing now, educating people on hypnosis, is he taught me how to do certain things. He did some hypnosis on me. And after one session with him, it dramatically changed my life. I cried for probably 9 hours, 9 hours. There's some people that are listening to this that were there that day when it actually happened in the UK. And I cried and I was drinking beer. Funny enough, I was drinking beer. You wouldn't believe that, would you, Jason? I was actually and while I was drinking a lovely pint of English ale, I was crying and laughing at the same time. Mass ab reaction, mass. You just I can't even quantify. You're just laughing and giggling, and the next minute just crying. And what was apparent is that everything that I'd experienced in my military, my policing, and the road traffic collision that I was involved in, the accident, that I was involved in, had slowly started to pop out like a pressure cooker, a mass pressure cooker, like somebody had started to lift that heavy weight off and allow the steam to come out. And that is exactly the way that I do things. And from that day, that is why people see the animal as in me in the way that I do hypnosis and love educating people, because it's very key to me to show people how powerful this stuff can be, and if you are in a dark place, that you're not alone and it can be fixed. That's where my passion comes from, Jason. That was me, really. That's how my road to this started.
So then, based on that experience, based on the work that you've done with your clients over the years, there are some who would say that there's no value in digging up the past event. There's no value in, quote, dragging them back through the mud of the ab reaction, of the emotional states, and even some of the past events. What would be your response to that?
I am not one for taking people back to past events. I never will do. If it's something that I don't need to do. There are many different methods. I've found my methods where I don't have to take people back, all the way back, and relive that. If somebody said to me, I don't want people to get offensive in this, but the reason I'm not a big fan of counselling and that type of talk therapy is because when I did go through counselling for what I went through, he did exactly that to me. He attempted to take me through some terrorism things that I'd been through whilst I've been in the military. He also tried to attempt to get me to relive tumbling continuously underneath a car, listening to my bones crunch, which isn't fun, and why would I want to do that? Why would anybody do that to anybody? And that's why I deal with the person that's sat in front of me, and I deal with the emotions and the things that are going on there and then. And I get down to the root cause, but in a very, 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 softly manner rather than very direct. I don't need to. I deal with the person there and then. I don't drag them through the mud.
Yeah. So if anything, it's more dealing with that emotional state, and by doing so, that's going to then trigger back and do that cleanup for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I find that by clearing up the emotive states and by removing that emotion, it's like people always, when I'm always doing my courses, Jason, it's people always say, well, how do you get rid of it? I will never, ever get rid of what I witnessed when I was in the military. Never. I will never get rid of the night on August the 4th, 2006, when I was run over. However, I remember them, and I remember the things now very clearly. However, the emotive and the emotion that goes with them has completely gone. The rawness, that horrid rawness that went with them as well, was now gone. It's completely gone. And that's what I work with. You can't erase the memories like that.
Right.
You can't. There's no point. But it's the emotion that I deal with. It's that rawness that I love to show people that we can change. And it's like I always say to people as well, that the worst day of my life was the best day of my life. If I hadn't been run over by a drink driver, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you and your great listeners now, would I? So it's about how I can talk about it now. And yes, time's a great healer. But I did find that night 2 years afterwards, by changing those emotions, was the way that I love working. That's the way I love it.
Yeah, and I'd share, this kind of goes back to some of the themes you had brought up a few moments ago, that one of the mindsets that I bring to working with a client would be that everything is an asset. Everything is something that we can now work with. And without addressing, there's different policies, there's different regulations, there's different ethics over here, of course. But here's the guy who came into my office at one point, and I've told the story here before, but he walks in with the story that I smoke because I'm bipolar. And basically, by way of a bit of sleight of mouth, he's walking out now. And because I have this issue that sometimes needs my attention, it's every reason why I never need to smoke again.
Yeah.
So it's utilizing that as a resource, as a strategy, which to his credit, he was there in my office specifically looking to deal with the stop smoking issue. Yeah. Yet it's this place of, what if that event was every reason why that you can now do this, as opposed to every reason why you can't? Here's a day a couple of months back where my 2 morning appointments were 2 guys who came in with the same exact story, yet with different results. One was, well, now that I'm retired, it's going to be so easy to lose weight. I can cook for myself. I can exercise. And the other one's going, well, now that I'm retired, it's going to be really hard to lose weight.
Yeah. Do you know what? And that's when I obviously in a session, when people know about me and people come listen to that story about me and what I've been through in life, it's about using that to use it as a jump up, as a step up onto another. It happened for a reason. I don't want to go down too many routes down here, but that day when I was run over, I wasn't happy in life, and things changed for me that day. And it's how your perception changes on it. It's the way that you deal with it. I deal with a lot of people, and you may as well, Jason, and a lot of listeners as well, that people come in and think it's doom and gloom just because they've been involved in an incident. Well, I tend to use that incident as a leap-off point, this happened for a reason. How are we going to turn it into a positive? And there's always positives that can come out of negatives. There's always more positives, to be brutally honest, than there are negatives that come out of situations. And that's what I teach my clients when they come through the door, giving them those resources, giving them the ideas, and reframe, tons of reframing on everything, really, like you've just said. So it's about giving them resources.
So let's jump into the office then. Someone's coming into your space. They're going to work with you. What's kind of that experience that they're about to jump into?
It's a whirlwind. It's carnage. I think most of them need therapy after they've left. You know what I'm like, Jason. A lot of people as well do. Is that I'm of the opinion that I don't need to do a lot of closed eye therapy. I don't when I'm doing my hypnosis. I do a lot of rituals and stuff like that. But a lot of the work is done prior to myself going into those ritualistic hypnosis inductions. I do a lot of work prior to that. A lot of work, talking to them, reframing, doing what I need to do, and getting them ready. And then when I've made the change work, I then go into amplification by using hypnosis. That's the way I do it. And giving them the experience, whether it be, I'm taught, like most of us in EFT, TFT, other tippity-tappity things and hypnosis and other things that have gone on. And it's about using those resources as well. So when they come to me, it's an experience. So at the very end, they go, okay, now what happened there? So it's really rapid change work. And when they come in, I hardly sit my clients down. A lot of people ask me that as well. I hardly sit my clients down. We've got lovely leather chairs in the office. I don't use them. They're always standing up. Most of my work is standing up to give that experience. So when they do leave, it's like there is shock on some people's faces, to be brutally honest. I'm very direct. I'm very harsh as well, but people love that. If people want softy and they want to go listen to whales, windy staircases and other stuff, then you can go find somebody else, because you ain't getting it with me. It's very direct, it's very dynamic, and it's very in your face. But do you know what? It works, and that's why I attract people, because it's there and then. People know that they're going to get something at the very end of it.
There's something that I'd share that kind of goes along with that the style you're describing is one a little similar to how I'd work with people, that I love the experience of they come into the office and they see what they expect in terms of, oh, there's the big black recliner, there's the dim lights, there's the candles that have never been lit. And instead it's the, okay, great, now stand up. Wait, what? Yeah. Which is kind of throwing them off that equilibrium. That anybody who is interacting with this, who has ever worked with, let's say, more than a dozen clients, it's not a skill that has to be taught. You know that moment where the client is a passive participant in the experience.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's about snapping out of that. It's about snapping into that active strategy so that they're the one in the change process as much as you are.
Yeah. I mean, when we were discussing this the other day on one of my courses is about the two of you being in the same state or in a similar state. And I always look at it when I'm using hypnosis or I'm using any change work, is that I develop my state first, and then I drag them along into that, and then we get that structure, we get that change going at the same time, and that's key to it as well. Is about me being in a trancey state and into a state not hippified. I don't mean putting flowers and whales and all that type of stuff on, but getting myself prepared, ready to do it, and then getting them into trance and then taking them on a mystical, magical journey. And a lot of therapists think that they do the change work. I firmly don't believe it. Myself, I'm merely there to facilitate and push them in the right direction or cajole them or get them to do it. I don't do it. As a therapist, my personal opinion, I don't do anything. I'm there merely just to push and guide them into a certain way. They're doing all the change work. I merely just allow them to do it. And then they have the resources to backfill. If they've removed trauma, post-trauma or anything like that, they have the resources to change it, not me. They have the resources. So I just merely cajole it and get it into the right place.
So then as you're working with somebody, how many times are you typically seeing them?
Post-trauma, normally once. You can call it whatever label you want on that. I've seen labels like most people know that I am not a fan of the word post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes. If you look at Wikipedia, disorder means broken toilet door. Well, I was never a broken toilet door. And you know what it's like as well. You know what it's like. Most clients as well, when they're given a label, and I understand labels and I respect labels, the reason that, when they're given the label off the GP, the doctor, the physician, whoever it is, when they go away, they go research it. And when they go look at disorder, it does come up on Wikipedia as toilet door. So that's why I don't use it. It's about just doing it as quick as I can, really, and just change work as quick as I can. Post-trauma, normally one session for me. Lots of reframe, lots of fast dynamic stuff. So normally 1 or 2 sessions. Weight loss is the only one I take the time with, to be brutally honest.
Mm-hmm. What about weight loss is the reason why you do it longer?
I think and I hate to use it, there's more coaching involved. Mm-hmm. It's more guidance. There's more, just going along and helping with, and just monitoring what they're up to, giving that extra support. I'm not really one for weight loss, to be brutally honest. And smoking as well, I'm not one for that either. I can do them. However, they're not really me. I'm mostly a post-trauma, anxiety, stress type person. I will do the weight loss, but the weight loss is more of more to help them, support them, guide them, and just tweak what we've done previous sessions.
Yeah, I'd share that weight loss is the similar category for me, that I look at stop smoking, I look at removing fears, I look at removing trauma as something of a binary change. It's either a 1 or a 0. It's either on or it's off. And with the weight loss, they've got to keep eating. They've got to keep responding to the world around them. And in many ways, it's and I say this given my own personal changes over the years, that it kind of goes back to that label that they've been stuck in a model of because. Yeah. That, well, because this is this way, this is just how I eat. Yeah, when it's about swapping out every one of those becauses for a different outcome.
Yeah. And the thing is as well with weight loss, I've found is that with the emotional detox, the first ever thing that I do with weight loss is an emotional detox. And it's quite surprising, and most of your listeners may have noticed this as well, is that you do a damn good emotional detox and make them feel bloody marvellous about themselves in that first session. The rest of it all just falls into line, because I've had clients go, do you know what, Karl, we've only had one session, but I feel bloody marvellous about myself. Sod the weight. I don't care about the weight anymore. I actually feel good about myself. When I look in the mirror, I feel great. And that's exactly what I like doing with everybody, just making them feel absolutely, great about themselves in that one session. And then the change will pop up. And it's the same with weight loss. That first session is really the fundamental foundation of everything that you do, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then along your journey, being the side of the hypnosis client yourself, getting into it from there, at what point in the adventure did you becoming the trainer hop into all of it?
Oh, well, I was very lucky, because most of your listeners would have heard of Jonathan Chase within the UK. I'm sure you have, Jason, as well.
Yeah.
And when I went to one of them sausage factory, I love calling them sausage factory, training schools within the United Kingdom, who didn't give a monkey's backside about me. They took 10 months of my time, gave me a certificate that wasn't worth wiping my backside on. Sorry, listeners. But they gave me a certificate that wasn't a lot. And even though I knew Sigmund Freud's inside leg measurement, I didn't actually still know how to hypnotize anyone or test. And I went to see John Chase, who did a 2-day course at the time, and it completely revolutionized the way I did things. It completely changed the way that I've been taught over the past 10 months and on this course. And I started working with John, and me and John struck it off. And eventually John asked me to go work with him and do some work with him over there, doing some training work, assisting him on his training packages, which then led me on to develop after John went away and did his thing. And then about 2 years later, I went away and did my thing. And it just developed from there. I developed my own strategies, my own ideas, my own techniques, philosophies, and, just that way, really. And so I've been in hypnosis now, for 8 years, and I was under the guidance of John for, 2 years. So, yeah, it was a great journey, and it gave me, working with John gave me a great stand-in, and then going working with other trainers and developing my own thing. I've always been a trainer, to be quite honest, Jason, all the way through my military career. So to be quite honest, standing up front and gobbing off doesn't really and so it came natural. So, but no, it was a great journey.
Yeah. Is there a story that kind of stands out of not necessarily you working with a client, but the experience of having a student emulating the results, a student being able to replicate these results, that stands out for you?
As in, have I got students that are going out there doing my work at the moment, or doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, either of that nature or anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's funny actually, because it's like with kinetic shift and stuff like that. It's a technique. It's nothing new. It's about modalities and speed and that. We've got our own little private group, and every day, the little shifters, we call them little shifters. Little shifters.
Mine are just called workers. You win.
my little shifters, they're everywhere, and they're always doing stuff. We've had, even today we've had stuff with post-trauma, people with tics, and it's amazing really that these people were in the same sausage factory as I was 8 years ago. I think it was, I remember now, 8-9 years ago. They're in the same sausage factory. They've been to me, and we've revolutionised, the same way as John did with me, revolutionised the way that I worked. And they work, and they're coming up with these great stories now, and post-trauma being dealt with in one session rather than 12 and 15, and dragging some poor bugger through, another trench or another incident or something like that. So, yes, with the feedback we get in our private group, we're getting some great stuff, and that's really inspiring. It's lovely to watch, and some of the people that are listening to this, if you've got anything that you want to share with Jason and those people that are listening to this podcast, throw it on the bottom of the comments. Little shifters out there, so it can be nearly caught something else then. But yeah, there's some great stuff that goes on, Jason. Brilliant.
I love it. So the hypothetical question that, of course, would never absolutely happen in any way, shape, and form, but it's fun to ask. You are now stranded on a deserted island, and you are forced to only make use of one change strategy. Yeah. What would that be? Yes, we all tend to work in this client-centered model of dealing with what emerges and responding to the individual. But if we had to really nail it down and say you have one technique for change, what would that be for you?
Bob Burns Swan. Why has that just come up? Bob Burns Swan. I think it's quite intriguing, that little thing there. It's woo-woo-y. And I think I like using that technique. If I was stuck and I needed to change something, I'd use a swan.
Outstanding.
Have you used it? Have you met Bob?
I have. Bob's been on this program, and I've hung out with him out in Vegas a couple of times now. What? And
he's been on this show, and you haven't been shut down.
Hey, he was on before you, so.
Oh.
Ooh.
Sorry, Bob. No. But no, I think if I was to take anything with me, I think it would. I like Bob's Swan technique. Actually, I do. It's got a bit of woo-woo, bit of hypnosis, and a bit of everything in it. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. That's fantastic. So then, what are you working on these days?
Well, I've got new trainers coming through. I've got people from about 8 or 9 different countries that would like to come work with me and be my trainer and take UK Hypnosis Academy around the planet to where they are to deliver 1 and 2 day packages. So that's the bit that's going on at the moment. We're also working on some ideas to accelerate the confidence of young hypnotists. There's too many, and I'm going to say it again, there's too many, especially in the UK, being bumped out in little sausage factories and offered, the known world when we know it's hard. It's not easy in this industry. Mm-hmm. And they're sold and mispackaged, to be quite honest. Yeah. So my job is, and what I want is I go back to the Karl that used to sit there with a book in his hand going, is my hand stuck to this surface? Do I close my eyes? Do I open my eyes now? Reading a book. And they're the type of people that we're seeing at the moment. And I want to really, really push some of that confidence into them, whether it be street, impromptu, how to get out there, how to deliver themselves, how to engage with the public, because what we tend to forget, hypnotherapists, is we're on the other side of the fence, or therapists, one better way of saying it, is that therapists tend to forget about what it was like not to know what hypnosis is. So I love teaching people how to go out to the masses, to the general public, and educating, and that's my next task is with Ignite, my new course, Ignite, is to get therapists to go out and engage with the public more than what they are, and express and tell people what hypnosis is more than just some stage gimmicky thing, like I did when I first got introduced to it.
Well, is it a confidence issue? Is it a strategy issue? Because yes, there's a common concern, and I share this statement. I've said it here before that I'll take the compliment of this, but there are many people who are training hypnosis that when they get to the business module, they're pulling up my videos. And yeah. I'll take that as a compliment. The number of times over the years that I've had someone call me and say, hey, I'm really not seeing that many clients, and it's kind of hard to break even with this. How are your classes going? Is that profitable for you? And my answer is, for everything you first said, that's why I'm not going to answer your second question. Because I want them, my branding of it is I want them to be that hypnotic worker. You're just like you're seeing clients, you're teaching the classes, and I'm sure there's a constant refinement of what you're even sharing because you're still there doing the work too.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it a confidence issue? Is it a strategy issue? Is it somewhere in the middle?
It's in the middle, mate. Because what we're seeing at the moment is a lot of people when I'm doing like rapid inductions, instant inductions, and things like that, they seem to think I'm some type of Gandalf. Most of them. It's like, what is that? What is he doing? How is he doing it? And that's the bit that they're missing. They're missing that confidence. Mm-hmm. And to coin a phrase that I did here is hypnotism. Yeah. It's about hypnosis and about people hoping to God that the client has gone into some altered state when, we can disprove that by just doing it with eyes open techniques. And it's teaching people that it's not that sitting in a reclining chair, listening to whales doing funky things in the background. It's about, it's about getting people to understand what hypnosis really is, and then how to deliver themselves, and about standing on a stage, not necessarily in front of 300-400 people, maybe just like Avon or something like that, just on a ladies' night where they, or a gents' night where they can show and demonstrate hypnosis to new people and educate people. And it's about how to deliver it. So it's not only just a confidence issue, it is about the business. So getting them to go out there and engaging with new people, with new clients, and new peeps like that. So yeah, it's going to be a package around that, really.
So the perfect timing now that we've officially been recording for about a half an hour. How would you define hypnosis?
Not a state of eyelids. Hypnosis isn't a state of eyelids. My personal opinion is we're always in a state of hypnosis. It's a case of, as a hypnotist, I take people out of hypnosis. That's the way that that's the way I look at it. I firmly believe that I take people out of hypnosis. And an altered state, and I mean, I've been quite privileged in the past couple of weeks to be working on Sky TV, doing a documentary on hypnosis and hypnotherapy for them on 2 shows. 2-hour-long programs, and we've had access to fMRI, and it's really intriguing that that just patter of language and just simple ritualistic inductions as well can cause those spikes and that amazing change within and alter that state at the same time, which is great. So an altered state, not a state of eyelids. I don't know.
I like that. I keep coming back to the phrase about learning that so much of hypnosis is learning on one side, yes, the hypnosis strategies, but also when to do things that are just simply hypnotic in nature.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Which, again, they've walked into your space and suddenly you're doing the work and the both of you are still standing up, as opposed to I'm really curious to explore what it is you've got against whales. But
whales, winding staircases and washy noises. Yeah, it's just I don't do any of that.
You'd love my phrasing on that, which is that the school that would make use of a lot of music and the school that would make use of a lot of imagery, the phrase I keep coming back to, you always have to remember that your dream location is someone else's nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason I'm very keen to mention about whales, whales making noises in the background, waterfalls and windy staircases is because I'm not that visual. So when I've been to hypnotists before and hypnotherapists before in the UK, and they talk to me about, and as you just go down the windy staircase, I'm like, what the I don't know what you're on about. I genuinely don't get it. It really interrupts me. Whereas if somebody is really dynamic and really and does things and just lets me get on with it, I am at peace. That's leave me alone. Drop me in, leave me there, and let me do what I've got to do. That's the best way for me.
I'd share a similar experience that there's a time when I'd actually gone to a hypnotist myself to work on something. Yeah. And it's not to discredit the technique, but here they were doing this progressive muscle relaxation, and we were there for 5 minutes talking about my elbows. And I've got to think about the client who's in the chair going, let's assume maybe it is a pain relief client. Okay, yeah, but I'm here about my leg. And you send that relaxation down throughout your elbows. Okay, I know, that's nice, but remember the leg, okay? Which, it's that experience that, yes, metaphor, yes, storytelling, yes, imagery, these are all viable strategies in the right moments at the right time. But I can even point to, as much as there's categories where I may be in that storytelling mode with the client, they may leave and they're thinking or they're saying to me, that was nice, but what did that have to do with my public speaking issue?
Yeah.
And you got to go in and it's the phrase that you've got to satisfy the conscious mind as much as the unconscious mind.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you have coming up next?
Well, Mr. Scott Sandland has invited me over to California. So I'm going to be spending a couple of days with his good self over with Scott. Then I'm going over to see Mr. Mandel over in Toronto, so I'm going to be working with him. I'm just back from Dubai, actually. I'm still unpacking. I have clothes scattered all over the place because I've been with Beryl Komar in Dubai. Then we've got courses throughout the UK. We've got a diploma course coming up. I've got trainers coming up. Then we've got Las Vegas coming up. And then we've got the UK Hypnosis Convention. And I really can't figure out how many hours I need more in a day, to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's non-stop. Every month, I've got at least 2 or 3 courses running, or I'm on courses. Because I never forget that it's always great to go away and learn other people's methods and appreciate other people's and not just getting swamped up by KarlSmith.com. So it's always nice to go away and do that. And probably I might squeeze a little holiday in there for myself somewhere. I don't know.
Outstanding. And we'll link to these over in the show notes at worksmarthypnosis.com. Though in the meantime, where can people find you online?
If they go to the UKHypnosisAcademy.com, UKHypnosisAcademy.com, you can have a look at me there. And if you're interested, I even do free lessons on YouTube. So if you find UK Hypnosis Academy On YouTube, there is probably about 63 different rapid instant inductions, other techniques that I use that are all broken down step by step for the layperson. They're for seasoned therapists or the newbies out there. So, yeah, you can get me that way.
Outstanding. It's been wonderful having on you.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's always great to work with you, know that. So, no doubt we'll push up the alligator bar when we're at Hypno Thoughts Live.
Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you so much for your interaction with this program. And what I really enjoyed about having this time with Karl is that Karl is a guy who truly is a hypnotic worker. And what I mean by that, as always, is that person who is actively out there seeing clients, really doing the work, and also at the same time teaching others how to replicate that success as well. It's not just this one side of things to be just the trainer, to just be the practitioner, but to walk the talk and talk the walk in all iterations there as well. And to learn more about my program that I've titled Hypnotic Workers, head over to hypnoticworkers.com. That's the entire digital access to my Hypnosis for Change training library. Everything from induction methods to strategies for deepening to hypnotic phenomenon, including strategies for change that you simply will not find anywhere else. In addition to that, we don't need any more scripts in hypnosis. What we need are more transcripts. And inside of Hypnotic Workers are real client sessions from start to finish that have fully been transcribed for you to model and make use of these strategies as well. Learn more by visiting hypnoticworkers.com.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at worksmarthypnosis.com.
Hey, it's Jason here, and reading is lame and videos are awesome. So do this right now. Go ahead and click subscribe right here inside of this video, and that will link you to my YouTube channel, and you will be the first to find out as new information is shared here online. Click subscribe now. Stay in touch. I look forward to hearing of your success very soon.